And I know from talking to you, Coach, that you attribute to finding your wife and her coming into your life as a main part of your success.
Well, it is, because if it hadn't been for her, I'd probably be serving time. When you grow up by yourself, you grow up wrong. And when you don't have a mama or a daddy to tell you this is right, this is wrong, you can't grow up right. And she made me find Jesus, or helped me find Jesus. So, yeah, I'll always be. That was a blessing. Sure was.
So after your sports career at Tennessee Tech, you get into some coaching. You had a chance to do some baseball.
The MyUsage app is a way to conveniently pay online, anytime, day or night. You can also come by any Caney Fork Electric office and sign up for the prepay option available using the MyUsage app. Know exactly how much electricity is used each day and the cost. Best of all, no monthly bill. You can set up email or text alerts, keep track of your usage, and pay your bill, all with the MyUsage app from Caney Fork. Caney Fork Electric, keeping you informed.
Community TVTN is brought to you by Security Federal Savings Bank, proudly serving the community we call home.
Grace Family Pharmacy announces new medication packaging service. It provides a simpler, safer medication experience through convenient, personalized packaging using the latest in pharmacy robotics. We're located at 357 West Main Street. Our phone number is 931-473-6418.
McMinnville, you're a great place to be. McMinnville, Tennessee.
Not many things last a lifetime, but when they do, there's something special. Dr. Pepper. Good for life, good for the community.
Welcome to another edition of Community Spotlight. I'm Raymond Adcock, and it's going to be a great show today. One of my favorite people, the coach, Pedro Paz, is joining us for the entire show. Coach, thanks for coming on with me today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm not a coach anymore.
Well,
you call me granddad.
You're always a coach to a whole generation of people that remember you with the Pioneers, and we got a lot to talk about because you have lived a very interesting life. The one and only Pedro Paz, our guest today. Let's talk about you growing up in Cuba. You lived there till you were 8 years old. Did you leave about the time that the Batista government was?
No.
Or did you leave before then?
No, my dad thought that the only people that were getting the best education in Cuba were the millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought the best way for me to get a better education was to come to the United States. Well, my dad was here in the 20s. He's a graduate of Temple University and Pierce Business School, I think it is, vocational school to learn, accounting, really what it was. And so he loved this country, and then he went back to Cuba, married Mama, and then they came up here to make a living in Miami, and he thought he could be better if they went back. I didn't really particularly care about going back, so he left me in Miami with a cousin, and it's kind of hard to live with a college student who his interest is, college, not his cousin. And I was in the 6th grade at the time. And anyway, my dad was told that I'd been better off somewhere else. I'll never see my 15th birthday, and it was true. So he had some contacts with some schools that were called the old Mid-South schools. They had Sewanee Military Academy, Castle Heights, which is in Lebanon, Baylor, Gordon Military, Georgia Military School, and then they had BGA, and that was the old Mid-South school. It was a private school, had dormitories. And that was the only school that was not military. And for some reason, my dad liked it. And it had dorms, but it was not military. And you ate your meals with teachers, and they taught you, you know, where the fork went and your napkins and manners, table manners. So Dad fell in love with the school. I didn't fall in love with the school, but my dad did. So because I knew I'd be there by myself. So that's where he sent me to school. And then I graduated from BGA and had a football scholarship in Georgia. And then we had played against Columbia, and high school football coach of Columbia coached baseball. And he was assistant coach at Tennessee Tech, and he came and convinced me that I could start as a freshman. And I didn't know it till later that he really wanted me to come out to play baseball at Tech. But so God knows why, and he has a plan, and his plan was for me to go to Tech. And,
so Pedro, when you were at BGA, what was your main sport? What did you excel at?
Well, I went there just to play baseball, and that's all we played in Cuba. 20. And soccer. They call soccer football.
Football, yes.
So I'm out there in the 7th grade, and they said, "You need to come out for football." I said, "Well, yeah, I'll go out for football." I mean, I went in there and it gave me a helmet. I thought, man, this must be the roughest soccer match I've ever been in. I knew soccer was rough, but I didn't know you had to wear a helmet to play soccer. And gave me shoulder pads, and knee pads, and thigh pads. And we had and back then you had hip pads. Now you got girdle pads. You put them on like a girdle, like a pair of shorts. But anyway, I thought, I didn't know what I was getting into. I got out there and anyway, that's how I came out for football. I thought I was playing soccer, and I didn't know diddly squat about football. I knew that if they gave me the ball, I'd run so they wouldn't hit me. And that's about, and then after a year I learned, it became to me, football is probably the easiest sport.
And you're synonymous, coach, with football, but go ahead and tell us why you think it's the easiest sport.
Well, no, I thought it was the easiest because it's either, to me, it was contact sport. Either I get you or you going to get me, and I'm going to get you before you get me. And that's the way I coach. And so, to me, the most difficult sport is to hit that little white ball at 90 miles per hour. I mean, I always thought, I took pride in my hitting, but I thought that was the most difficult thing I ever had to do. And I probably golf would be another difficult sport because of, hitting the ball, but...
And you played for Coach Tucker up at Tennessee Tech?
I went to Tech, and I was blessed. Coach Tucker saved me. We were on a football scholarship, and back then, if you got married, they'd take your scholarship away. It was based on a year-to-year basis. In the spring, you tell your buddies, we're not buddies for now 20 days. It's either going to be my scholarship or your scholarship. So, it was actually spring practice in college was rougher than the games because people were, trying to get their scholarship or maintain their scholarship. But I got married. That was another blessing. And I went to Coach Tucker and I said, I got married and I like to stay football, but if you help me find an apartment and this and that, he says, best thing ever happened to you. He said, we'll find you an apartment and we'll keep you on scholarship.
Some baseball.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to sign professional, but my mom and daddy wouldn't sign it. Because, see, when I graduated from high school, I was 17. Matter of fact, I was 17 through half of the football season. I was born in October, and I was 17 when I graduated from high school, so I didn't turn 18 till I was, I think we had played 3 or 4 college football games, and I was the only freshman playing at Tech at the time, so I played 3 or 4 games. And this was about the time now that people were coming from the Korean conflict.
Okay.
We played with some people that graduated from high school in '49. I mean, I was 17 years old playing against men. And you know, like I remember Red Gaylor, coach at TPS for years. He was at Tech, and he'd been in the Korean conflict. So it was it's a sports of man, I guess, if you want to call it. But I survived it, and you know, I was just small. I think I still got my wife kept a roster when we played, and I think my freshman year I was 147 pounds. Can you imagine that?
Playing college ball.
Yep.
So was there a pretty big step up when you were playing at BGA and all of a sudden you're in college and you're going against these guys?
Yes, because we've had a boy, Alcee Baggett, that played with New England Patriots. We had Tommy Hackler play with Chicago Bears. We had Ray Thomas play with the old St. Louis Cardinal. I think the Arizona Cardinals now. So, yeah, it was a difference like day and night. I could outrun everybody in high school. I mean, I just now Yogi Powers here claims he could outrun me, but we're too old.
You told me a story.
We're too old to
have a
race.
rematch of that. But now you did come up when you were at BGA. You mentioned and did some scrimmages.
Yeah,
Yogi was one of the I guess the local players here.
Well, it's funny how the Lord works. Never would have thought that I would ever be near Viola, especially Viola. We had a boy that played with us, Buck Ramsey, and he was from Viola, and we used to make fun of Buck. Later on, found out that my mother-in-law was born and raised in Viola. She was a Bonner, Mary Redding Bonner, and then of course when we were at BGA, we used to stay back before they had camps, football camps. Mr. Coverdale, who was principal director or owned BGA, whatever you want to call it, he owned Camp High Lake over here at Quebec. And so we used to come up for 2 weeks, scrimmage Sparta, and there was a team from Louisville came down, stayed with us, and we scrimmaged them, and then it was McMinnville Central. They didn't have a city then. That's another story of how many high schools, but anyway. And we scrimmaged Central, and the only school that played football at that time was McMinnville Central. Joe Nunley was the coach, I remember that, because he had made some quotes in the paper in the Tennessean about our team, comparing his team and ours. And
So Yogi was the second fastest on the field that day.
I claim that. He claims he was the fastest. Like I said, we're too old to race now.
Folks, we'll be back with more with the one and only Pedro Paz after we take this break. More of Community Spotlight coming right up.
And stay tuned, more Community Spotlight is on the way.
Good morning. Have you finished painting the water tower?
It's my personal taste, but I think it's really good.
I hope it is. You know, it's hard to please all the people all the time.
Believe me, it's a masterpiece.
Oh, no.
Sun-Drop, it's really that good.
Since 1975, Pioneer Building Supply has been providing lumber, hardware, and building material to hometown folks just like you. Whether you're a contractor or homeowner, whether your project is large or small, when it comes to your home, put your trust in us, Pioneer Building Supply, 1655 Morrison Street in McMinnville, 473-7777.
Pioneer Building Supply.
Pioneer Building Supply, where good business makes good friends.
Pioneer Building Supply.
And we're back on Community Spotlight. I'm Raymond Adcock. My guest for the show today is Pedro Paz. And Coach Paz, we talked about you playing some football at Tennessee Tech, and after your college career, had an incident happen to you. Tell us about it.
Oh, well, like I said, we had a child at the time, and I wanted to go to Cuba and let my parents see the grandson. And so our intentions were to go. I had already already a job in Miami as working for Pan Am, and so we went to Cuba. It was right after, of course, we graduated in 50. I mean, this was 1960, so Castro took over Christmas of 59.
Okay.
And little did we know what we were getting into, but anyway, we went to Cuba, and that's when Castro took over. And get back here, we went. I went and stood in line one day to get my visa. I didn't swim across 90 miles. I had to get a visa to come in, and I stood in line at the embassy. A day before I got in, I had to spend the night outside. And finally, I got in, and I went to the ambassador. He said, "Well, you got to wait for a year to. We got so many that it'll be a year before you can get your,
your visa to travel."
Yeah. Anyway, so I went home and told my wife. She was. I wasn't a United States citizen. I've been here all my life, but I was still with a resident visa.
Okay.
So you have a student visa, resident visa, and or you come in illegally. But anyway, so she went back, and she didn't stand in line. And I just told people, I said, I'm with her. I just followed her. We got to the door, and there were two Marines. Always find the biggest Marines are in embassy at the gates. Anyway, they stopped her, and she said in English, they stopped her and said something to her in Spanish. She said, "I'm an American citizen. I demand to see the ambassador." And I said, "And I'm with her."
Absolutely.
We followed her in. I mean, she went straight to the ambassador. Sure. I talked to counselors. She went to the ambassador. He said, "Well, yeah, we'll get his visa right now. Go across the street, get your picture, and we'll get your passport." And I had it done within an hour. So we got flights then to leave the next day. Instead of going Pan Am, we took a Cuban airline because that was the quickest plane to get out of there. And I remember we were sitting up front, and it usually takes, this is back before jets, have 4 engines, and you had to warm up the engine at the end of there, and then you take off. And it took longer to warm up the engine than it did the flight. And it's all ocean. You cross maybe the Keys, and but it's all ocean. And you don't fly very high. You can see boats and stuff. Man, all of a sudden, we went, I don't know where we, high. And then once in a while I look, and you see land. I thought, I ain't no land. That's not any land between Cuba and Florida. I thought, well, maybe a key come by. And after an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, I thought, man, that's the longest flight. Usually takes really about 50 minutes, 60 minutes. We were in the air about an hour and a half, and finally the captain comes across and says, "They're having target practice at Key West, and we'll have to make a detour, and then we'll be landing at so-and-so." And I thought, well, okay, I'll buy it. And then a few minutes, we land, and the first thing I saw was mountains. And I thought to myself, there's no mountains in Florida. Unless we've landed in North Carolina, I don't know any mountains between Cuba and North Carolina or South Carolina. And I thought, maybe Georgia, part of Georgia. I said, what are we doing so far up Georgia, And then I see this insignia, the British insignia. Anyway, we got hijacked to Jamaica. We were the first plane hijacked to Jamaica. And what we're trying to do is to bring, let the people in the United States know how sorry Castro was. By using this, then they would be interviewed by the paper, and TV and so forth. And so we were unfortunate, or fortunate, whichever way you want to look at it, to be the first plane hijacked. And so we ended in Jamaica, and it just so happened that Mother gave Joanne, my wife, she was a Hudgens from Sparta, born and raised in Sparta. She still talks about She's for Sparta except when we play us. But anyway, and we had a case of Similac, but back then they didn't have them throwaway diapers. We're talking about 1960. So there's this woman trying to wash diapers in the airport, hang diapers in the airport with a baby, and I think we spent a day there, and then they send us to a hotel overnight. All the United States citizens went to like the Holiday Inn, the best hotel, and those that were not citizens, we went to a flea-bitten motel. You didn't know if you were afraid to even take the covers off a mattress. But anyway, the next day we went back, and they sent us back to Cuba for interrogation. And then we were interrogated, check our baggage again, and I think we spent about an hour in Havana. All this time, my parents and her parents, they didn't know where we were. They couldn't make contact with us. Nor could we make contact with them. Anyway, then after an hour or so, then they put us in a plane, and we landed in Miami. I remember kissing the ground. I think we had some pictures taken that in the local paper by some of us, kissing the ground. That was the longest hour flight in my life. But it's an experience.
Talking to your daughter, Lisa, that's one thing she mentioned was how much you love this country and how much you love the freedoms, and you don't take anything for granted because you've seen this stuff firsthand.
Well, I've seen my dad, who was an honorable and honest man, lose everything he's ever worked for. And I don't think we appreciate the ability to cuss or say, well, I can't stand this, president or representative or anything. I think we take for granted our liberties. And, but I know what my parents went through, and I wouldn't want to wish that on anybody. I mean, you hate to see. They arrived in Miami, and Joanne and I, when we picked them up, they had 2 bags, little sacks of underclothes, and that's about it. Mother snuck out some coins. She made a dress and put buttons and covered them, and I think she got out 5 gold coins. I don't know what they were worth, maybe $100 a piece. And I think I gave 3 of them to our kids. I think Tony has one, and Chris has one, and Lisa has one. She kept them as, maybe this is, she became like, mother and dad became like hoarders. They were afraid to lose. Sure. They lost everything. They lost everything. The man that put him on the list to leave Cuba told him and said, I kind of like that car you got there, Mr. Paz. And Dad took the keys to the car, handed it to him, and said they put his name on the list. And Dad was an accountant. He wasn't involved in politics. He might have said that there's only been one Savior. And he said when he heard Fidel Castro talking like he was the Savior of the world, he looked at my mother and said, this guy's phony. There's only one Savior, and this guy is not our Savior. And that's when Dad started, realizing. They passed a law, took away all his savings, took away all the land that he had acquired honestly. Dad was from a family of 12. They were farmers, dirt farmers. And my grandfather owned, quite a bit of land, but it was divided. I think Dad had maybe 50 acres or something like that, tobacco land, dark tobacco, and it was worth, good money. But they had to work hard at it. It wasn't that it was given to them, they stole it or anything like that. They lost everything. Yeah. And my mother had a doctor's degree she got EDS, or almost a doctor's degree from University of Miami, and then she got a doctor's degree in education. She taught school. They weren't involved in politics. And they lost everything.
Coach, real quick, I know we're running out of time, but I know the viewers are going to want me to ask you about your coaching career. You came to McMinnville. You mentioned that Mr. Mitchell was a mentor of yours, Everett Mitchell. Let's talk. Let's move on up real quick to that '73 season, because that was quite a season, Coach. 10-0.
Well, we were blessed.
And you mentioned some of the guys on there. David Britton, Glenn Powers was your quarterback.
Pat Moran. I mean, I could sit here and name, and I know I'm going to leave somebody out. But I said this at the coaching, at the football banquet. Coach doesn't win or lose. I lost more games as a coach. Now, playing is different. Yeah, I won games when I played. But coaching, I probably lost. Most games that we lost was probably my fault. You have to have athletes. And it takes them to want to win. I don't think, I don't think if the players don't want to play as a unit and learn their role, everybody has to have a role. And it's kind of like I learned my, quick when I was playing basketball. My role was to feed the big boy. My role wasn't to score. My role was to feed him. He was the one going to carry me to the region. So you got to learn your roles, and then they all have to work together and could care less if one scores 100 touchdowns or not, or if you're in basketball, one scores 100 points. It takes 5 to win in basketball, and it takes more than 5 in football. Besides, you got to have, I always thought it took even the managers in football.
Did you guys stay in touch some through the years? Did the players
do what?
Did y'all stay in touch some through the years? The players
They
stay
used
in
to
touch with you?
They gave me that ring right there.
Okay.
And they told me to always wear it. And I guess when I'm in my casket, it'll be on me.
Oh.
And that to me is one of the proudest possessions I have. And they gave me that ring right there. To me, it's like a Super Bowl.
I was getting ready to say, you wear it like a championship
I wear it
ring.
all the time. Yes, that was a championship team.
Absolutely. And I told you earlier before the show that that's some of my first memories of you. I was 8 years old. My dad, we loaded up the car and took off to Chattanooga to watch you guys.
I think everybody in Warren County went to Chattanooga. We have more people. Hey, Warren County will follow a winner. I don't care who you play or where you play. They will follow a winner. Always have. That stadium there, I can remember people were sitting in the grass and the banks on the side. We take in $5,000 a game. That's a lot of money for a high school game. 5 times 5, $25,000 a year. That'll carry all your other sports. But
Then you got out of coaching and you kind of got into the administration of school, and now you're grandpa. I see at the basketball games.
Now everybody knows me. You talking about Coach Paul? I always say, "Wait, that's Joshua's granddaddy, or John's granddaddy, or Madison's granddaddy, or McKenna." I'm granddaddy, and I'm proud of it.
And you're proud of it,
and
Coach.
That's all I want to be.
Good stuff. Thank you for coming on with us. The one and only Pedro Paz, our guest today. You'll have to come back maybe. We've got a lot more to talk about. We could have went on for about 2 or 3 hours, I believe.
A lot of BS in it.
Pedro Paz, our guest today. I'm Raymond Adcock. We'll see you next time on Community Spotlight.
And we'd like to hear from you. Maybe you have a show idea, or you'd like to say some comments about one of our previous shows. Email us at communitynews@bltv.net or mail us at Community Spotlight at 216 Providence Road, McMinnville, Tennessee 37110.